So we're out here getting ready for UFC 91 at the MGM, and one of the guys on the card, he's a familiar face from the last season of the reality show, The Ultimate Fighter, and that is Matt Brown. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. Mr. Business. He's a very serious guy, but he's a good guy to talk to about the reality show before we get into the whole fight thing with Ryan Thomas on this card, because every season seems to get a little more wacky, and I thought last year kind of got a little ridiculous where you had some guys in the house, and I don't know that he's a bad guy or not. I've talked to him a few times. Jeremy May, sometimes he seems all right, but he seemed like he went on the show just to bust nuts, and you didn't appreciate it.
Yeah, I didn't care too much for him. Still don't really. I'll be cordial with him, but I mean, I already kicked his face off, so I mean, there's nothing else really to do. You know what I'm saying? So, he always asks me for a rematch and whatever, but I'm pretty much over that already. So.
Right. How annoying did it get in the house with him, and then even I don't think we realized how bad it was with Jesse Taylor until towards the tail end of the season. But how ridiculous was it, especially for a guy who's older and kind of is just you want to go in there and fight and not screw around.
I mean, honestly, they wasn't really that annoying. I mean, JT's actually a great guy, man. He's a good friend of mine. I still text him all the time. We talk on MySpace and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
JT's a lot of people view him. They take his TV image and they think that's the type of person he is. But he's a great guy, man. And like Jeremy May, like he wasn't annoying at all after we fought. I mean, it was pretty much over after that. And I was cool to him afterward. Even though I didn't appreciate some of the remarks he'd made afterward. But I mean, I was there to fight, so I didn't really care. There was actually more annoying people in the house, which I think our season was actually one of the more tame seasons. I don't think there was nearly. I mean, it definitely wasn't like it is this year with all the pranks and stuff. There was a lot of small things, but more like, when guys started losing, it started getting annoying because people were staying up all night. You're trying to sleep. Your friends,
right.
Are trying to sleep or whatever, trying to fight, the next day or whatever. But overall, I mean, I thought it wasn't nearly as bad as a lot of people make it out to be.
So what do you think of this season? Good for the sport, bad for the sport, totally out of control. I mean, some of the stuff the last couple of weeks, I'll be honest, DVR, fast forward, because I'm not really interested in seeing guys eat spunk or eat fruit that's dipped in piss. Sorry.
I could care less. I mean, I don't know why people make such a big deal out of that myself. I mean, I don't know why they say like bad for the sport. I mean, our sport is punching people in the face. I mean, if there's anything bad for the sport, it's that people get kicked and kneed in the face. I mean, that's great for the sport. I think though, I love it. But like Junie, like I think he's funny as hell, man. I love watching him on the show actually, and all the little pranks and stuff. At least it makes it interesting. I mean, I'd care less what they do as long as they put on good fights. Is what all comes down to. I mean, if the show could be just fighting and nothing in the house, I'd surely watch it. I'd make sure to watch it a lot more. But it is what it is. They're not marketing for. I don't think they're marketing the show itself towards, the hardcore MMA fans. So, hardcore MMA fans can watch any pay-per-view event. So, there's enough out there for us already. And then, the general public gives them something to watch.
Yeah. And actually, Junie, we talked to him like last week because he's out here at Extreme Couture working out now after the show, and he admitted like a lot of the stuff he did, and he's like, I just tried to spice it up. I'm really not like that. I don't know if he is or not, but I kind of took him at his word because he said it like 6 times. So maybe it was just a reality thing, and then just kind of pranking everybody because he wanted the TV time and make it interesting.
Yeah, I actually know people that know him real well. He's from Kentucky, right there close to Cincinnati. I know a lot of people down there, and everybody says he's a great guy in real life. And like I said, I think it's hilarious, man. I love watching him on TV. It's boosted the ratings too. I guess everybody else likes it too.
What do you think about some of the interplay, though? And we'll move on from this because I want to get to the fights and this fight card and your background. What do you think about some of the back and forth between some of the fighters and Nogueira? Because for me, I don't know. I'm a radio and internet guy. There are certain people that you may argue with a little bit, but you really don't want to diss certain guys in your business, and your business obviously is fighting.
Yeah, Nogueira is going to be a legend of the sport, and I actually missed the episode where I seen on like some of the forums and stuff where people were really talking about what was going on, and so I don't know exactly what happened other than what I read on the forums, but I mean. I think it's crazy that somebody would disrespect Nogueira. He's a legend, the heavyweight champion. I know on our season, anytime Forrest or Rampage was around, everybody shut up and listened.
Right.
I mean, even the douchebags in the house, they shut up and listened. So I don't know what people would possibly be thinking to, be saying what they're saying towards Nogueira. Now, if you're talking about the thing with Vinny, I did see that episode, and I didn't think Vinny was disrespectful towards him.
Right.
At least from what we've seen on TV.
Right. That's interesting that you say you read the forums. How many fighters do that? How many fighters actually go up to the underground forum or MMA-rated or Yahoo or wherever and read this stuff and read the comments? Do you guys get into that, or is that kind of a minority among the fighters?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I know.
Why do you like doing it? And do you get pissed sometimes, like when you were on the show or after fights, if people are ripping you? Do you kind of understand what the deal is, or do you actually get fired up? Because I think there are guys who actually really do get fired up and get really involved in that stuff.
Yeah, I actually after the show, I told myself I wouldn't get on the forums anymore because I knew, there was going to be, you're in a public image like that. There's going to be negative and positive scrutiny, and I think actually I got a lot of positive feedback, from the show. So I think that might have actually. That was, I would rather almost have negative feedback, to fire me up more. And I was kind of like, wow, these guys like me. That's pretty cool. But, I like to get on, like, some of the forums, and I post, to keep in touch with the fans, and, because I remember, I've been a fan for a long time, too. And, if I see, I remember on the underground, you used to see, Hoist Gracie or, Dan Henderson, them guys post or whatever. And, I'd be like, wow, this is awesome, I'm talking, pretty much talking straight to Hoist Gracie. So, I'd like to give that same feeling back, and at least state my opinion on, what's going on, let guys know what's going on.
Well, it is something unique about the sport, and I think that's why it's taken off so much because, for the most part, you don't really have prima donnas. Most of you guys don't have filters. You're pretty down-to-earth guys, so I think that's part of the reason it's grown so much.
And another part is the fact that I train twice a day, 2 hours, per session. The rest of the time I'm resting. So there's only so much, you can just lay down and watch TV. So, you got to do something. So internet.
So there's no big drinking scene out in Cincinnati? I'll tell you the dangerous thing about Cincinnati is there is a big drinking scene. You're right, actually. The dangerous thing is the disgusting chili, which I think I'm the only guy who likes outside of the state. But that literally you would be fighting at 240 if you ate that stuff all the time, the Skyline chili.
Yeah, I don't never had it, actually, so I don't know. Yeah. I've had like Gold Star and stuff, but I'm not I like the chunky soup, whatever it is, the chunky chili in the can. So
basically, real food, instead of that stuff, because that stuff's dangerous. All right, this fight, I was talking to you before the interview. You're going against Ryan Thomas. I said I really haven't seen a whole lot of him. He was on short notice against Ben Saunders. I like Saunders. I really think he's a good prospect, but Saunders just kind of mopped him up. Mopped the cage with him. So what do you have on the guy?
I know he's a wrestler. I actually just watched his interview a little bit ago, and he apparently thinks that, his wrestling is going to be, what is superior. I mean, he said he thinks he's superior in all aspects, but, I mean, he's not going to stand and strike with me. If he does, he's going to get knocked out. So, he knows his wrestling is going to be his key to winning this fight. I work with good wrestlers all the time, so, I'm prepared for that, so it's no problem for me.
Give us a good comparison, because obviously it's a much heavier weight. Were you around Matt Hamill when he would come in? And it was kind of serving as it might have been before you were over there.
Before me,
yeah.
And actually, Matt Hamill, he'd only come in maybe, I think 2 or 3 times. The whole, the last fight, they kind of blew it out of proportion as Rich and Matt as training partners. They weren't really like training partners. They like knew each other, and that was about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's always interesting with the wrestlers because you just never know how it's going to translate to MMA, and some guys rely on it so heavily the rest of their game isn't very complete. So we'll see what happens in this one. What do you think's going to happen? Speaking of wrestlers, with the main event, you got Brock Lesnar, who is a former Division I wrestling champion. Couture was basically at the same kind of level as a freestyle guy in college, even higher as a Greco-Roman guy. You got the age difference, the size difference. What do you think?
Man, I don't know. That's a tough one, bro.
Isn't it funny? We've done a bunch of these interviews. Every fighter we talk to is like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm usually like the worst at predictions. So I always make whoever I pick is going to be the wrong one. So just go with the opposite one whoever I pick. And my original thought was Brock Lesnar, but Randy always comes out with great game plans, and it seems like the older he gets, the smarter he gets as a fighter. So I'm sure he's going to have, something for Lesnar in all aspects. And Lesnar's really his only chance is either, a few big punches, which he's obviously capable of doing with his strength and size, or, kind of a lay and pray. And he's very capable of either one. So, and Randy's, best chance is keeping it moving, scrambling, obviously, his cardio and, being slick and keeping Lesnar working, wearing him down. And he's very capable of that. So that's my whole take on it.
There you go. We never get an official pick. We do have a pick, though, I think. We just read into what you said. Matt is picking Ryan Thomas by brutal KO, right? Because you said it's always the opposite. So that's what you want to go with, that you're going to lose this fight. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, of course. But you like to pick yourself, right?
Yeah, I always pick myself. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Thanks, man.
No problem.